What I'm going to do with this video is explain a little bit about the basics of the Macintosh, the Finder. What you're looking at is my window on my Mac, and it's divided into three sections. The upper section up here is the menu bar. I have a few extra things that pop up, but basically you can see that there's the Apple logo in the upper left-hand corner. There's time and date in the upper right-hand corner. And then we have over here on the left side, words. So it says Finder, File, Edit, View, Go, Window, and Help. And then on the right side, we have icons. So things like audio and Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and the battery. And then over here is the control panels, and then over here next to Word, next to the time, is if I click on this, the notifications, and that can be very useful. The middle of the screen where we have all these files and things and the hard drive for the computer, this is called the Finder window, and the Finder window is the basis of your computer. It's the top of your desk. It's where everything sits. We'll get back into that in a couple of seconds. And at the very bottom is this thing that we call the dock. You'll notice that it's got a whole bunch of icons here. You see this little hash mark here? Everything to the left of that, all the way over here to the smiling Mac guy, these are applications. These are shortcuts to applications that I most frequently use. Most of them you'll have things like the Finder and Siri and System Preferences and Launchpad, the App Store, Safari, Mail, Contacts, Calendars, Notes, Maps, Messages, FaceTime, Photos. A lot of the Macs come pre-installed with Pages, Numbers, and Notes, keynotes. These are basically Apple's analogy to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So Pages is like Words, Numbers is like Excel, and Keynotes is like PowerPoint. Then we have News, Music, which was iTunes, Podcasts, Apple TV, Books, and then moving over here, iMovie. And then I've got things like my printer, which is right here, and then other things like Twitter and a calculator. And then if we move over here, you'll see there's a hash mark here and a hash mark here. The three most recently used items will be within that little grouping. So you see that right there. The far right of the dock has folders. It can also have files. It can have graphics. It can have anything that you want there other than an application. And here we can see things like I put in my Documents folder and my Downloads folder so I can always get to them. And then on the far right of the dock is always the trash. The center of the window, like I said, is what we call the Finder. The Finder is unique in that it is the basis of our computer. So anything that's on here, let's just say if I double click on my hard drive, it brings up what's called a Finder window. This is a window that can only be dismissed by hitting one of the red button, okay? As opposed to an application window. So let me bring up, I'll bring up Messages just for the heck of it. Here, to get rid of an application, I can hit the red button, but it won't get rid of the application, it'll only get rid of the window. To get rid of the application, I'm going to go to the menu and quit. And that gets rid of that. The Finder window is unique in that it can only be dismissed with the red button, but it contains files, folders, and even applications. So if I click on my Applications folder here, you can see all the applications that are in there. And here I can double click on those. When you're in an application, you single click on things. So I'll get rid of this by hitting the red button, and that goes away. The Finder is where everything is, and that's where, in this case, we can see at the top on the left side of our menu bar, we've got the Apple menu always on the left side, and then next to that, always next to it, is the application that's in the foreground. So if I bring up, let's say, Maps, it now says Maps right to the right of the Apple menu. And if I click back here, you see this strip of the desktop I can see right there. If I click on that, it now says Finder. So I've switched with this for that, for maps. So if I want to affect maps, which I'm looking at, but I don't have in the foreground, I have to click on it. And you'll notice that the buttons in the upper left-hand corner are muted. If I click on the anywhere in the window, it brings it forward, and you can see they're now bold. So I can see them, and it also says Maps here in the upper left-hand corner next to the apple. Every application, everything on the Macintosh is unique in that it always follows the same interface. The application always has an application menu, which is right next to the Apple menu, and that always gives us things like preferences about this application. Then File will always have things like open a new window, open a new folder, close, create a new Finder, do these. Now these are specific to Finder, so they're specific to making folders and getting information, things like that. Next to that is always Edit. It's always the third menu over, and it always has undo, redo, cut, copy, paste, select all. View it's not in everything, but it's in a lot of things. And the Go menu in the Finder window lets us get to specific folders, but also if you have a server that you connect to, it goes to that. And then Window. If there are multiple windows open, we would see that. So if I go back into Maps, see now Maps is here. If I bring up a new map window, so here's a second map window. I go to Windows, I now see two map windows. So if I say here, let's go to, I was looking up something, Sarge's Delicatessen, let's just say, well, let's go there. And we'll go load that up. And we don't want to do that, let's just say here. We'll go to, here's another place. There it is. So there it is, and now it says this. If we look at, we now see New Jersey, USA, and it says right there. And if I click on Warren, which is where I live, here it is. And that gives a better idea of how multiple windows work in an application. I'm going to hide this. Hiding is another way of getting rid of something, so it's not in your view, but it's still functional. It's still there, and it makes it a lot easier to get back to it. So if I click on that, and I'm now back in the Finder, I don't see my maps. If I go back to Maps, it immediately comes back up. It's a much faster way of getting to things. I do that for things like Safari, so I can go back to it and bring it up very quickly. And that gives me the ability to, so like here, if I go into Safari and I go to Hide, if I click back on Safari, it comes right up. Now if I click and hold on the icon of the dock and then hit Quit, it goes away. And if I click on it again, now this is what would happen if you quit every time you didn't want to see the application. You have to wait for it to rebuild. It's got to bounce, it's got to build, it's got to load, and we got to wait for that to fill in the screen. So it's got to reinstall all that information over and over again. It's a waste of time, especially during the day. If you're working on something, just hide it. It's much more efficient. You can come back to it. I'm going to hide Maps here. There's Maps. Let's hide it. And if I go back to Safari, I don't have to wait for it to load. It's a much faster way of getting into it. I'm just going to hide that because I don't want to come back to it. So you'll always find the application menu, which will have things like preferences and about. The file menu, which is always here. Edit, view, go is specific to the Finder. And then window. If we go into, say, Safari again, here under Safari you'll see everything from hide, quit, preferences, about. But things under the file menu, you'll always find the last item is print, always. And then there'll be a save, new window, open window, that kind of thing. And then edit, view, again, view is specific here. And in Safari we have things like history and bookmarks and the developer window, and then Windows Help and Debug. You won't find debug in a lot of places, but that's it. So here, let me hide Safari again. The right side of the menu bar has things like the icon for sound and then Bluetooth. But more importantly for most of us is our Wi-Fi, our wireless connection, and that allows me to get into, here's my phone, here's my network. I have a guest network so that people don't have to put in a password. And then here we've got the battery state. And that can be very important so that you know, especially when you're out, what's going on and how to get to it. This is the basis for the Macintosh. There's very little other than this to deal with on the first level, but this is sort of the bare bones of how to deal with the Macintosh. And I'll do another video that'll explain what folders and files and things do coming up. So thank you.